A trip to China can be exciting and eye-opening. The culture, manners, and social ideas might be quite different from your own. If you are interested in China or are planning your China trip, take note of the following 10 things not to do in China. China is a pretty strict country to live in due to early traditions from Chinese history still prevail. In this video, we will show you 10 things you can't do in China. Welcome to Travel Tips and Foreigners Living in China, and thanks for tuning in. Please take a second to subscribe to become a member of the Travel Tips so you don't miss any amazing content, and smash that like button so YouTube knows to let others see this mind-bending video. Let's get into the 10 crazy things you can't do in China. 1. Don't talk about uncomfortable or politically sensitive topics. Unless you have a good reason, don't talk about death or mention that someone has died. That is a quite serious and ominous topic to Chinese people. The color white represents death, so avoid giving white things as gifts or wrapping gifts in white papers or ribbons. Other things you shouldn't talk about are political and religious issues, religious policies, or state leaders. Chinese people are often not comfortable discussing topics with foreigners that might cause embarrassment to China, as they see these issues from a different perspective. Avoiding sensitive topics like this will keep your conversation positive and friendly. 2. Customs of minority groups and temples. There are 55 minority groups in China, and each has their own traditions and customs. Objects related to worship and ancestors are generally not allowed to be touched. It is good to keep your guide's instructions in mind or ask for permission before you touch something. There are many Buddhist and Taoist temples in China. If you have a chance to visit them, you should be respectful. Even if you believe in another religion or are an atheist, it's important to remove your hat, sunglasses, sometimes your shoes before entering the temples. It is not a good move to point at the statues with your fingers or to step on the door sill. 3. Don't make close personal contact such as hug, kiss. The Chinese are less affectionate than people from other cultures. Hug, kiss are much less. When you meet a stranger, it might be best simply to greet him or her verbally instead of trying to shake hands, as this feels unnatural to most Chinese people. When greeting someone, a slight nod is fine. Don't bow and never kiss or hug when saying hello or goodbye, as personal contact is not that common. In many areas of the country, due to traditions and religions, the head is considered more sacred than other parts of the body. A touch could be considered disrespectful, so be aware of this and don't pat people on their head or play with their hair unless you are sure of who you are standing with. 4. Don't expect interpersonal communication to be the same. If your trip to China includes meeting individuals either for business or personal reasons, you might consider traveling with gifts you can hand out. Appropriate gifts at appropriate times might be useful in building relationships, and they make people happy. However, some items are considered unlucky or to resemble death or separation. For example, sharp objects, clocks, spears, and shoes. You'd better not give them as gifts. Learn more about the good gifts and the bad gifts in China. Likewise, a gift might not be opened in your presence, since it might lead to loss of faith to open a gift in front of the giver. In China, restaurants' bills are never shared. They are not used to doing Dutch. The person hosting might be embarrassed if you chip in. However, if you've asked people out yourself, it's expected that you pay for the entire bill. 5. Don't forget your manners when using chopsticks. Don't ignore chopstick etiquette if you are about to use a pair. Chinese people have a lot of ideas about this. Chopsticks are only for eating. They are not to be used for gesturing to items or individuals. They are also not to be used as drumsticks or as playing at someone's table. Don't place chopsticks inside the bowl when you are finished eating, or stick them in your hair. Instead, place the chopsticks on top of the bowl. Definitely don't stand your chopsticks straight up in your food, as it looks like incense for dead people. 6. Don't tip in places that also serve Chinese people. Tipping is a practice that is not observed in China. Taxi drivers, restaurant staffs, and bellmen do not expect to be tipped and could be confused and try to give your money back. Not tipping avoid this awkward situation, even though it might take some getting used to if you come from a society where tipping is important. The sole exception to this practice is a toll that is catered to foreign visitors. Individuals on this toll often depend upon tips for their income. Therefore, it is wise to budget for tipping guides and drivers as one would in most other places in the world. You don't have to tip drivers or waiters in China. 7. Don't rely on your credit card. In China, your credit card may not be as useful as it is in your country. If you show your credit card in shops or restaurants, the staff might get confused because Chinese people rarely use them. People in China like to make mobile payment, such as WeChat payments. If you like to give this a try, install WeChat and activate the Swapsi account before leaving home. WeChat is the most popular chatting and payment app in China. It includes a multiple language interface and works well in your country. However, you can bond your credit card to your WeChat account, but the money transferred into it must come from a Chinese bank account. This is where Swapsi comes in. You can use it to trade currencies from PayPal to WeChat and vice versa. 8. Don't forget to take your own toilet paper. Star-rated hotels in China provide toilet papers, but restrooms in other places might not. In attractions, supermarkets, restaurants, or on a train, you may find tissue dispensers but nothing inside them. Although the service level of many restrooms is progressing, time is still needed to solve this problem. Therefore, take your own or buy some before going anywhere. Another thing you need to be aware of is not to flush toilet papers in public restrooms. If you do so in some long-neglected restrooms, it might lead to serious problems. Just put them in the trash bin. 9. Don't use unlicensed transportation services. When you leave a railway station or airport, you may see some people trying to persuade passengers to get into their cars and drive them somewhere. It is not recommended that you try such service as the language can be a problem and they are mostly unlicensed providers. This should only be used by locals. More reliable choices are using public buses or taxis operated by legal companies. Public buses pick up and drop off passengers at fixed stops where you can wait for a bus or check the road. There must also be clear signs on the bus indicating its number. A legal taxi must have the name of the company on the doors or a lamp on top of the car indicating it's a taxi. The driver will use a method to calculate the fee rather than just telling you how much you should pay. 10. Don't travel on your own unless you you are skilled in Chinese. Besides the transportation problems I've just mentioned, they are more caused by the language barrier. Most Chinese people cannot speak English very well, and this might be very difficult from other countries you have visited. If you ask local people for help, you might find that they are willing to help you but cannot understand your words or give you the right advice. The airport, railway station, and your hotel offer you English services, but other places might not. If you want to visit some attractions that are a long way from the downtown area but not on a public bus route, you need to book a shuttle bus ticket at the bus station. Get off at the right stop and find the right way to enter the area while trying your best to avoid the crowds. Nothing is easy if you are not skilled in Chinese. You have just watched 10 crazy things you can't do in China. Please let us know in the comments below if you've ever been to a country or you know any other crazy things you can't do in China. And thanks again for watching Meek Merlin, travel tips and foreigners living in China. See you in my other videos.